Nice position for England to be in a way, in that, you know, they're through. So is it a time to ring the changes, to rest some players and maybe experiment with a different way for Gareth Southgate?
Well, that was something Gareth did in the last tournament, and I think the last game was against Belgium, but England were fine, and no one really knew whether finishing first or second made too much difference. So he rang the changes against Belgium. I think it was the whole team, but I think this is more of a case of freshening the team up, really, rather than sort of experimenting. I think you can't really experiment in a World Cup. So I think it's about giving players some minutes, and maybe 2 or 3 players, you could argue, is it resting them, trying something a little bit different. But no, I just envisage 2 or 3 changes.
It isn't a game to think the unthinkable and not start Harry Kane. There are doubts about his fitness, of course.
No, I mean, it's a difficult one, because it reminds me a little bit of what was happening in the last tournament at the Euros with Harry Kane, where he just didn't look himself in the first 2 or 3 games, and you think, do you take him out and almost rest him and think he'd be sharper and fitter for the next game, or do you keep playing him because you know he's such a great goal scorer? But he's of the mindset that he wants to play. You know, he wants to play, he wants to break records, he's still our best centre forward no matter how he's playing. And for me, it'd be more about how his ankle was rather than his actual form. And that's only something that Gareth and the medical team know. But if Harry Kane is 100% fit, I'd play him.
You were asking, I know, in a newspaper article this week, where is Phil Foden? This is the chance for him to start, I guess.
Hopefully. I mean, we'll see when the team comes out. I mean, I'd have had him in from the start, but I can understand that Gareth never, because he's never produced his Manchester City form for England, and that's a fact. But when you look at him in the Premier League for Manchester City, he's such a talent that I think as an England manager and a coaching staff, you've got to find a way to get him in and find a way for it to work, because he's too good a player to be sitting on the sidelines. So I can understand Raheem Sterling and Saka playing in those first game, but the fact that he didn't come on until late in the last game, I think, shocked me really, that it almost felt like he was a little bit down, or certainly further down the pecking order than I actually thought he was. But I think talent-wise, I don't think anyone can match him in the squad. It's just getting that talent that we see in a Manchester City form shirt in an England shirt, and hopefully that'll start tonight. And
of course, it's the old story, isn't it? The players who do come in, there's a chance of them to say, I'm too good to drop.
Of course, yeah. No team that starts a tournament for England in history, I think probably any nation, finishes the tournament. You know, there's injuries, there's suspensions, someone come in and takes the chance. Most famously, Jeff Hurst with Jimmy Greaves in 1966. So the players who didn't start the first sort of couple of games shouldn't worry too much, because wherever England finish in this tournament, the team will be different. And if the team is going to change tonight, I'm sure 1 or 2 of those players will cement themselves in a position to play in the last 16 knockout game.
What are your thoughts? I know no one knows yet, but about the midfield, because there was some talk of Henderson coming in for Bellingham. There's now talk of them actually starting together alongside Rice. Which do you think he'll go for?
Well, I actually think the balance of having Declan Rice and another similar type of midfield player, it was Calvin Phillips in the last tournament, and that partnership worked really well. Now, if we're going to play 4-3-3, you want at least one of your midfield players to be an offensive player. Bellingham's that. We've had Mason Mount in there, so Gareth has been accused of being pragmatic, being defensive, but the first 2 games in a major tournament, he played Mason Mount and Jude Bellingham as attacking midfield players with Declan Rice in behind, so that's not defensive. But as the tournament goes on, as we saw at times in that game against the US, Declan Rice got overrun. It felt like he was outnumbered in there, and at times he needed a bit of help. And I thought the change of Jordan Henderson coming in changed the game really for England. And so I'm not surprised he's coming in and playing there. So it may be a toss-up between Bellingham and Mount going forward in this tournament, or we'll see how fit Calvin Phillips gets. But I don't think Gareth Southgate will go with the midfield he's gone within the first 2 games when England get to the knockout stage against a top nation.
And Gareth Bale could well, we don't know for sure, be his final game for Wales if things don't go their way, or he might decide to hang about. It's only 18 months until the Euros. If it is his last game, what kind of a servant has he been for club and country? Amazing.
I think Gareth Bale should and will go down as one of the greatest British players of all time. When you look at what he's done, even in this country, for Tottenham, I think he won Player of the Year twice. Not very few players do that. To go abroad to Real Madrid, biggest club in the world, win European Cups, play a huge part in that. And what he's done with Wales as well, getting to major tournaments. I mean, I remember watching Wales as a youngster, and it just felt they could never get to a tournament. And it just happens so often now, and that's a lot of down to Gareth Bale being in the squad. So, as I said, he's one of the greats of all time, no doubt.
Any particular memory of playing against him yourself?
Chasing him, seeing the back of him, seeing Bale on the back of his shirt. He was a flying machine, and for sort of 3 or 4 years at Tottenham, he was the best player in the league. That's why he won 2 Player of the Year trophies. So he was absolutely fantastic for them. And then to go to Real Madrid and take it on another level and win the big honours, I mean, it's testament to his ability and character.